This week, Trevor Lawrence sat down with Sports Illustrated and gave them some very interesting quotes ahead of the NFL draft. He's going to be the #1 pick 2 weeks from tonight. And here's part of what he said. He said, "I want people to know that I'm passionate about what I do, and it's really important to me. But I don't have this huge chip on my shoulder that everyone's out to get me, and I'm trying to prove everybody wrong. I just don't have that. I can't manufacture that. I don't want to." His father, meanwhile, told Sports Illustrated, quote, "He's not award-driven. He's not, I want to win a Super Bowl at all costs." And as I bring the group in, and Mel Kiper, you were not with us in the first hour here as we were having some trouble technically. I will confess that as we were getting ready to do the show today, I thought, this to me is much ado about nothing. I don't really think what he says here matters. And then Lewis brought up a fascinating point, Mel, which is, imagine if those same quotes, with all of the stuff that has been circulating over the last few weeks, came from Justin Fields. Imagine if Justin Fields, someone close to him, said he's not award-driven, he's not, I want to win a Super Bowl at all costs. If Justin Fields said, I can't manufacture a chip, it's just not how I am. It was a very interesting look at the way these two prospects have been viewed differently of late. What do you think, Mel?
Well, completely different situations. Justin Fields went to Georgia, and it didn't work out there. He went to Ohio State, and then people doubted him. He's the 5th quarterback. So he's got a chip. He's come into the league with that. He could have played at Ohio State with a chip because it didn't work out at Georgia. So a completely different scenario for Trevor. Trevor comes in, #1 guy, wins a national championship right away. He's being talked about by me and others as being this historically great quarterback, this guaranteed #1 pick, like John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. How can you have a chip? Who are you trying to prove wrong? Everybody loves you. Okay, you're on top. Okay, and you're winning right away. And you're the guaranteed #1 guy. He said he's passionate. He said he wants to do everything he can to win. He's not award-driven. I love that. I love what his father says. He's not a real play for awards. You play for your team. Okay. Now the only thing is that last comment about he's not win a Super Bowl at all costs. Now, all costs, what do you mean by that? But the bottom line is you can't compare with Justin Fields playing for a chip because there's a reason why he would and why Trevor's saying, I'm not playing with a chip. I'm not out to prove anybody wrong. There's no haters. So what's the deal here? So I think if you look at it and you break it down, only that last comment about the Super Bowl at all costs is the only issue I would have. But that's his father saying it, not Trevor.
Always excel. 34-2 as a starter. And while the comments raise my ear and the comments make me sit up a little bit because I understand the era in which I grew up in, I understand how I would perceive it. I also have to understand that this new millennial, this Generation Z or X, or whatever you want to call these guys who are new, they're born in the 21st century. They view things differently. They look at things differently. And it just bothers us. We're older. We want to hear he's the first guy in and the last guy out, and he doesn't pick up his phone. He goes off social media for the entire season. Well, Greeny, man, that's over with. We have to become accustomed to this new age athlete. And to Mel's point, that's Trevor's dad saying that he doesn't have to do that. Trevor is showing us, based on the tape that we've seen at 34-2 as a starter, at going out and competing at the highest level, that he wants to win. He has won. He has done the things on tape, which is how we judge these quarterbacks to win. And I based that off the tape, Greeny, because I haven't met him in person and I don't know it. But you can watch a lot about how a guy competes and how the level he competes at. Trevor Lawrence is a winner regardless of what his perceived mentality is.
Fair, exactly. And that point is exactly why I didn't think this was a big deal. But then, Lewis, you did make it a much more interesting story when you did bring up the idea that if any person close to Justin Fields were quoted saying he's not, I want to win a Super Bowl at all costs, the conversation literally on every sports talk show in America would have been completely different today. Lou.
Yeah, and it would have been. Look, and it doesn't matter where Justin is coming from and what his path has been to where he is right now and whether that should automatically manufacture a chip on his shoulder relative to Trevor always being out front and being the consensus #1 and being successful all the time. It doesn't matter where they've come from. It's about what they're going to be expected to do going forward and what the level of commitment is going to be expected going forward. And see, if any quarterback says going forward, hey, you know what? Or rather, if it's suggested that I'm not a win-at-all-cost type of person, I'm one of those. And other people have suggested in this article that Trevor could walk away from the game at any point in time and they wouldn't be shocked and he'd be totally content. Look, that is something that on its surface is going to raise some ears and raise some eyebrows. And look, if someone had said that about Justin Fields, regardless of where he had come from, and what his story has been going forward, considering the kind of stuff that's been said about him right now, there's no doubt that it would have created a firestorm. There's no question about it. And look, I am not doubting Trevor Lawrence. I don't know Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what drives him. I've never talked to him personally. But I do know this in the NFL. The level of commitment and the level of preparation and the level playing field that you were dealing with in the NFL is different than the ACC. It's different than playing Ohio State and Alabama. It's different than playing Wake Forest and Notre Dame and Boston College. And the players who have played it at the highest level at the NFL know that, particularly at the quarterback position. Steve Young says it all the time. It is about the details. If you want to be one of the greats, if you want to have that kind of legacy, and I'll tell you this, you draft a quarterback #1 overall because you expect him to be one of the greats. And when people are talking about you in the same breath that they talk about Peyton Manning, John Elway, Andrew Luck, they expect you to be great. They expect you to be willing to go that extra mile. They expect, and Tom Brady has set the standard as far as what it takes to be great in the NFL, because it's not just about skill level. It's about commitment to the details. You better have it. You better have it. And maybe Trevor does. I don't know him, and I'm not going to doubt him. I'm just saying, reading that article made my eyes get a little bit wide and go, okay, this is interesting.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.